Excellent. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning into a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have a magnificent guest with us today, one who's going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than our brother, the legend himself, Minister Haqq. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam, Brother Joshua. How are you this afternoon?
Yes, sir. I'm doing great. And I know while we get started, I want to make sure that we know that every day is Mother's Day. But salute to all the mothers out there. May Allah continue to be sending nothing but positive blessings to all the moms out there. Everybody, hope you all enjoy your day. Shout out to the mothers. Okay, yes, sir. So we want to go with we have some amazing talking points today, but I want to start with Captain Yusuf Shah and his advice that he was giving to you about family, to the brothers about family and the importance of getting married. Married, sir?
Yes, sir. First of all, I just want to quickly say thank you again, Brother Joshua, for having me back again. I hope I'm back here for the by popular demand.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
because I want to know that I'm acceptable to the people that are your audience, the People's Podcast, and I'd like to thank you. And your podcast is very, very popular because you let everyone express themselves. There doesn't seem to be any restrictions, and I know you don't let anybody disrespect the word of God or your show. And I thank you because it's a free expression. And, I don't know if you get any flack about that, why you got that brother on, why you got that sister, I don't know. But it's good that you have that kind of free expression. And I thank Allah for that. And of course, as you said, it is celebrated Mother's Day. And I give also thanks to all the mothers and happy Mother's Day and your family, brother. And please give the greetings to your dad when you see him. I always loved him, still love him. Uh, he's the one that always told us, proper handling of people, brother. Proper handling of people. That was his thing. And that's what he did. He properly handled us, brother.
Yes,
and
sir.
Of course, your mom, who I had the opportunity of meeting when y'all were in D.C., and she was a great, great woman for the Vanguard, which is a very, very sacred unit of the Nation of Islam under the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so, thank you, brother. Yes, so I just wanted to say those few words, and I thank Allah for being here, to be alive today to do your show. Yeah, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad instructed Captain Yusuf Shah, who I met as a very young boy. He trained me. He trained me. I was a teenager, and he told the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told him, encourage the brothers to get married. And he would always have FOI classes where he would single this out. He would make this known. He would ask brothers, when you getting married? And he would say that he was the one, he used to encourage Malcolm all the time, he said, to get married. Malcolm was in the nation many, many years before he got married. Later, in maybe 6 or 7 years while he was in, and he would tell us, he said, it's important to get married because it develops the family. And when you develop the family, you develop the nation. And many of us had brothers and sisters, relatives that were in the nation. He would tell the brothers, we're not a monastery. We're not monks. He said, we need to save you all, because if you don't, he said, what happens to you is you get caught up out in the street and we lose you. He would always say that we would lose brothers to the sisters that weren't in the nation, and brothers would be out there selling papers and they would be enticed and encouraged. He said, get married. He said, get married. I mean, I would say some other things, but it's not proper to say it on air. But he talked to the brothers right straight. And, he said, you have desires. He said, you cannot just, we want to produce children for the nation. He said, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wanted us to produce children and generations of children for the nation. You can't do that if you're not married and you're not producing a family. So that was very important to us. Yes, sir.
All praises due to Allah. And speaking of mothers, can we have your mother as well as your father's name, sir?
My father's name was Abraham.
Mm.
His name was Abraham. He was Abraham. They called him Abraham Stewart. They called him Stew Beef. He was from South Carolina. He was a Geechee. And my
Mm-hmm.
father grew up there, born and raised in South Carolina, and picked tobacco as a young boy. He wasn't well educated. He went to the world. He went to the army at a very young age. I think 19 years old in World War II. And my mother was from Plymouth, North Carolina, which is near Raleigh. Her name was Carrie. She was a twin. I have many twins in my family. My mother was a twin. I have two more twins. My older sister was a twin. Her twin died in childbirth. My grandmother was a twin. My mother's mother. My sister Sharon, who's married to brother Arif, she has twin sons, Naeem and Kareem. My brother, I have another brother who's passed. He was a twin. They was Andrew and Andrea. So and my brother had about my brother Andrew. He had about 3 sets of twins. So twins never ran into my bloodline. Me personally, I had 7 children. I'm glad that didn't happen. I would have had about 16 or 18 children. But my mother named Carrie Stewart, she came to New York City, and I think she was about 14 years old. She picked cotton, and great woman, picked cotton, and she said she would walk to school 5 miles without shoes on, without shoes. And she said she hated the South because they treated them so bad, and she picked cotton. She said her fingers, Brother Joshua, would be bleeding from the thorns in the cotton. So she came to New York. They told her that if you come to Harlem, there will be gold in the street, and you will pick gold out of the street. But that was to get those black people to come here. So I love my mother and father. They were good people. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And may Allah continue to bless you and your family, and salute to you and your family as well, sir. Thank you all
Yes,
for
sir.
watching. I wanted to ask you about well, we want to go back to where we started off the last time, which was with our brother, Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. How did you all first encounter each other, sir?
You know, I'm glad we had a second chance to go over Brother Dr. Khalid, Minister Dr. Khalid's life.
Yes,
And
sir.
which I had a time, which gave me some time to think about him as a person. You know, Brother Johnson, we have to be fair when we give our perspective of people, give our critique of people,
Yes, sir.
because they are people, and we have to be fair and just when we talk about them. You know, Dr. Khalid loved Black people. I must say that he had a deep, uncompromising love for our people, the Black people, Black man and woman. You know, and
Yes,
I first encountered him from a distance. He was in California. He was the minister of Mosque number 27 in California. And Dr. Khalid was responsible for many, many of those brothers, some of them who are still officials and ministers and captains in the nation. You know, he was brother, the captain that's in California. I can't remember his name, but he's still there today. He helped train
Halim.
them. What's
Yes,
his
sir.
name?
Yes, sir. Halim.
Alim, yes,
Yes,
brother.
sir.
He's the one kind of with freckles, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, I remember him. And brother Minister Malik, who is
Yes,
former
sir.
Minister Tony. He trained them, brother. Brother
Yes, sir.
Minister Van. So on the West Coast. Yes, sir. So he was I first saw him from a distance, but I got a chance to meet him on certain occasions back in the 70s, maybe 78 and 79, when Minister Farrakhan would speak in the East Coast somewhere. Brother Khalid would be with him. I never got a chance to meet him, to talk to him personally, but I would see him. And he always had this strong, stern, very dedicated position and stature. And dark skin, bald head, dark skin, shiny, appearance. And but then I got a chance to meet him on two occasions. There was an organization, I'm not sure if it's still in existence, called United Black Front. And people don't know that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was the first one that introduced that idea of a Black United Front. In fact, I remember selling the Muhammad Speak newspaper, and that was the headlines. We must form a Black United Front. And I believe that's where Conrad Warwell, who was out of Chicago, he was one of the founders of the Black United Front. And but they had a national convention in New York City, and Dr. Khalid came there. He was a minister on the West Coast at the time, but he came representing the Nation of Islam for their national convention in New York City. And me and another brother, brother Minister Linwood, Brother Kareem, who was formerly Brother Minister Linwood, we met Dr. Khalid. He was with Brother Wahid, who was his captain at the time.
Yes, sir.
At the local hotel in Brooklyn. We picked him up and we took him over to the armory where the Black United Front was having their convention, just to do a walkthrough. He wanted to do a walkthrough. And on the walls of this particular venue, there were pictures of all Black leaders: Angela Davis, Marcus Garvey, Sojourner Truth, Fannie Lou Hamer, Malcolm was up there. And Khalid looked around, he said, how come there's no picture or photo of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? And the brother at the time, great, nice brother, Brother G2, we used to call him Big Black. He said, brother, please forgive me. And Brother Khalid said, brother, you cannot have this, and I'm not going to speak if his picture is not up there. And they kind of scrambled, they called, and they found a photo and they put it up there, a poster. So that was one of the things I felt I said, wow, man, that was bold. You know, that was impressive to me, because many of us during that period didn't want to talk about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And at that time, you know, that was a few years after after the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's departure, we were trying to bring his name back to the people. So, and then I met him again in Washington, D.C. Tony Brown, the journalist, had the communication convention they had from the Department of Communications at Howard University. The Honorable Minister Farrakhan, he was speaking that day. And me and Dr. Khalid was on the rostrum together. And we were doing security. And this is when I first got a chance to be around him. And there was a little commotion in the back of the rostrum. And I went to go back there, and he grabbed me. He said, I'll take care of that, brother. And he went back there, and whatever happened, he, you know, kind of subdued it, and he came back. So that was another encounter. But I wanted to give a fair and balanced view of him, because he was so instrumental in raising in the cities that he was in. Some of us know that he was the Supreme Captain or Minister of Defense.
Yes,
he
sir.
was a national spokesman for the Nation of Islam, Minister Louis Farrakhan. He was the minister in March number 27 in Los Angeles, California. Then he became the minister in Atlanta, Georgia, for a period. And, you know, there was some controversy there. In fact, during that period, he was charged with fraud and sent to prison. And Minister Farrakhan sent a letter to the judge and to the prosecution, asked him to give Dr. Khalid lenience. So that was a period where it caused a lot of controversy. Some brothers and sisters in Atlanta, Georgia, the temple there, the mosque there, they left because of the controversy that happened because of that charge that Brother Dr. Khalid was charged with in prison. He went to federal prison. And when he went to federal prison, I think maybe it was a year or a little under a year, maybe 9 months, he came out with an army of black brothers. He converted almost the whole prison black population there, along with the brothers that were from the Hispanic community. So when he came out, the minister made him, what was he after that? I mean, he had so many titles. I
Yes,
think
sir.
he
Yes,
became the
sir.
national spokesman, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm saying to myself, I'm asking myself during these periods, I said, why is the minister letting them hold all these posts? Because there were other brothers and sisters. The minister had relieved them of their posts and brought other people in. But he allowed Brother Khalid to hold all these posts. And I'm saying, what is the purpose of this? And I believe, and I still believe, that he was trying to save him. He saw something in him, and he was trying to really, Brother Joshua, save him. So, and he recognized his gifts. He recognized Dr. Khalid's skill and ability. In fact, Dr. Khalid would go boldly where no other minister, where no other captain would go. He would go into the clutches of any venue or any community and really teach hard for the minister at that time and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings. You know, he would go any place. He wasn't afraid to step into any area. And he was the one that had the minister sat down with Salas Muhammad. He arranged that meeting when Salas Muhammad was attacking the minister and in the Nation of Islam. Khalid set up a meeting, and they met, I believe, in California. Yes. And Dr. Khalid would go to the, let me say this here. During this period, you're talking about 79 and 80, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teachings was not that really accepted then because of when Wallace Muhammad came in, and began to change a lot of the programs and initiatives that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad set up. So they wasn't too fond of hearing the messenger's name. And they had a problem, some of them still do to this day, with Minister Farrakhan concerning Malcolm. So they wasn't that much ready to accept Minister Farrakhan, even though he had certain groups that would listen to him, but not really kind of embrace him that close. But Khalid, he would go and talk to them, and he would represent the minister in that particular period and defend the Honorable Elijah Muhammad concerning the situation that happened with Malcolm. And they would listen to him. He would go on college campuses. He would go among the black nationalists. Some of them had problems with the minister in terms of Malcolm. He would go into the black Hebrew Israelite community. I remember there was one time, I remember the brother Greg, the black Hebrew Israelites, they're very provocative. They're very disrespectful too when it comes to, and they didn't particularly take to the messenger's teachings, And there was this brother named Brother Greg. They slapped the papers out of his hand, the Muhammad Speak. Brother Khalid found out about that. Brother Khalid went by himself up to their headquarters on 125th Street when he was the minister, went up there by himself and addressed each and every one of them. And he began to talk to them about their own beliefs in terms of black Hebraism, because Khalid knew it. He knew the 12 tribes of Israel. He knew, oh yes, he was well-versed in that. And when he came out, they were praising him. I don't know. He said, I said, how did you do that, Brother Khalid? He said, let me tell you something, Brother Haqq. He said, either they probably thought this nigga is crazy coming up here, and all of us is up here and he's by himself, or he believes intensely in what he's teaching and he has no fear, So that is what I loved about him, because he would go boldly. And I say that again, where many, many of the ministers back then and captains and believers wouldn't even attempt to even go. So he had that kind of ability. I remember another, I think it might have been 1984. We were in Detroit, Michigan. And this is to emphasize where he would go, where others would be reluctant to. We were in Detroit, Michigan at the, I believe it's called the Joe Louis Arena. And this is when Minister Farrakhan was having the tributes to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and it was almost like a Savior's Day. The place was packed. We were in Detroit, Michigan, okay? And about a few blocks away, the Hells Angels. I don't know if you're familiar with the Hells Angels. They're a white motorcycle group.
Yes, sir.
Very dangerous group of cats. They wear leather jackets and they drive around and roll around in their motorcycles. They're very nasty. They're very vicious. And a lot of them carry a very racist attitude upon Black people. So a couple of sisters, we were all setting up at the arena. Dr. Khalid at the time was the Supreme Captain and or the Minister of Defense. And so a couple of sisters went up in the direction where the Hells Angels was having their national convention, and there were hundreds of them. And they went to a sandwich shop or something like that, and they were disrespected by the Hells Angels. Now, the Hells Angels are very, as they say, very scary guys. People are afraid of them. The sisters came back and told us that. I was standing with Brother Khalid, and I was a captain at the time, and a couple of more brothers. He said, give me about 50 FOI. We walked out of there. Brother Khalid was leading us. We walked all the way to their headquarters. Dr. Khalid said, I want to see who's the leader of the Hells Angels here. And he stepped to the leader, and he was saying he knew more about them in their history than they knew. And he would begin to break down, and he told them, he said, you know, we love our women. Our Black women are the queens of the planet Earth. They are our mothers. He said, don't you ever in your life, we had about 50 of them. That's all we needed. And he stepped to the leader of the Hells Angels, and literally the man apologized and kept asking Brother Khalid for will you accept our apologies? I guess he had never seen anyone like that. And I respected Khalid for that, you know, so he would always go boldly where many would not go. And it eventually, I think the minister wanted to find somewhere for him. So he sent him to New York. And on that day, the minister introduced him as the new minister of Mosque Number 7. I believe this was 1990. It could have been 91, but between 90 and 91. I'm not certain, Brother Joshua. But anyway, Captain Yusuf Shah was on the rostrum. The minister was there. Brother Kareem Muhammad, formerly Brother Linwood, was on the rostrum. I was on the rostrum. Who else was there? I can't recall everybody. Oh, yeah, Minister Conrad was on the rostrum. Minister Hafiz was on the rostrum. And first, the minister introduced Captain Yusuf Shah and told him, this man trained me. And Minister Yusuf Shah got up and spoke. And what struck me, he said that when the messenger sent him, Malcolm, and the secretary at the time, Brother Maceo Haziz, to New York City, he told him in a meeting, he said, listen, and I think I told this story before, he said, when you take the leadership there in New York City, he said, the messenger told him, and him, Malcolm, and Secretary Maceo, he said, you treat the believers fair, and you treat them well. Do not treat my followers with disrespect, but always treat them fair. And he said, if I find out that any one of you, Malcolm, you or the secretary, does not treat these believers like they should be treated, he said, you're out of luck with me. I will remove each and every one of you. And Captain Shah was telling, or was referencing the Khalid to do the same thing. He said, I'm telling you that what Mr. Muhammad told us. And then Khalid got up there and spoke, and the place was packed that day. And it was a wonderful day because at the time, it was good that he came because Minister Akbar had been the minister for a while. He had some health problems. Minister Conrad was the youth minister, and Brother Minister Hafiz was assisting him, and I was in Brooklyn. I was the minister in Brooklyn. And after that, maybe a week later, we met in the office with Dr. Khalid and all the ministers, and there was one thing about him that I have to say, he was not afraid to put people up to speak. He would allow all of us to speak. I mean, 6 and 7 brothers before him. He didn't have any reservations that you would outdo him, that you would say something that would make him feel that he was not skilled in what he was doing. And then he would speak. He would let all of us speak. And then he would come up there for about 30 or 40 minutes, and his teachings were so profound, and he was so gifted. He knew African culture. He knew what you call the Maya, the Egyptian culture. He knew the cultures of all different nationalities. It was amazing. He was so brilliant. He knew mathematics. He knew the lessons. He knew, I was just amazed of how he was able to do those things. And that's the time I was able to see him up front and close. And he did things different in New York City. I don't know what he did in California. We would hear things, but in New York City, he would let all the brothers who were rappers, because he had a closeness to a lot of the rappers. They loved him, they respected him. Ice Cube and Ice-T and, the Brand Nubian, Public Enemy, they all respected him, because he had the ability to reach them, to have a kind of magnetic approach to them, And those brothers and sisters that were in the mosque in New York City, he would allow them to go up during the meeting before he would come on, and he would let them drop some science and spit some rhymes and rhythms. And he was, some of the officials there didn't think that was in accord with the messenger protocol or tradition, but he was just different. He was just bold. He was bold in that way. And when he sat us in the office and he said, the minister wants me to not to be so bold and just teach, he said, he told me, just stay in the mosque and teach, brother. He said, you don't have to go out. He said, just stay right there. He said, they'll come to you because they love you. And he said, I want you to drive, Dr. Khalid had a Rolls Royce that I had a chance to ride in. I never rode in a Rolls Royce in my life. And he said, the minister told me, he said, brother, don't drive that. He said, the messenger told me that be very modest. He said, because the people will love you, not because of what you have, because of what you teach them in your belief in Islam. And he probably said, yeah, the minister told me to be very modest. He said, I'll get me a regular car. He said, but maybe I might do this. And I said, wow. I mean, he would say one thing in one sense, and then just slide to a whole nother area. And one day, let me say, he would teach subjects, like he sort of taught a subject called the goddamn white man.
Yes, sir.
And his woman, the white bee, he would say.
Yes, sir.
So who teaches subjects like that? And he would teach a subject, the white man is the devil and the black man is God. I mean, those kind of provocative, like really and all kind of teachings, subjects. But he knew every bit of it. He knew it. And so one day he took the temple was packed. I mean, people were outdoors, and I failed to mention this really quickly that that he at the time, because of there was a transition, a lot of people were trying to figure out, did they want to stay in the mosque at that time? You had people in Harlem and Brooklyn, Black people were trying to figure out, because we didn't really have a permanent minister. So when he came, he kind of solidified things, so to speak, and balanced things at that time. And so he was able to attract many people to come out. The place was packed. And one day he told all the brothers, he said, those are out that are outside, and then we said, we're going up 125th Street, and we're going to walk the street. And he took the whole mosque, and we walked up and down 125th Street, calling to Black people, we love you. Then he said, I want everybody to step up and take a jog. And we jogged 125th Street, 124th Street, 127th Street. We went down to the 116th Street, where the old temple was at, the mosque that Malcolm and Minister Farrakhan were ministers over. And the whole street, it was a sunny day. So people were in awe, but the minister reprimanded him for that. He said, you never go out and show what you have. You never let the enemies know that you have, what kind of army you have. Always keep them in.
For minutes, the sound. I think somebody's calling you. Thank you, everyone who's watching. Somebody's calling you, for minutes on your phone. So I think they went to shake this. Man, we got some people giving a greeting, some people showing love. Thank you, Sister Miriam, Sister Naima. Thank you, Brother Kente. Thank you all for watching. Okay, Brother Minister, your sound back?
Yes, could you hear me?
Yes, sir. No, it's like your phone went straight to mute, but it's back. It's back now.
It's back now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So he loved Black people, and but he had his own way of doing things, and that's why I said initially that you have to judge a man and be fair, because I know he was very controversial. He was loved and hated, and I don't know what was going in his mind and how he was looking at things. But then he made that because he felt at that time that Minister Farrakhan was being unjustly attacked by the Jews. And the Jews during that period, they were coming at the minister. They were laying it on every level, in the news, on TV, we didn't have that much of social media at that time. But Minister Khalid said that he didn't particularly was comfortable with how they were attacking the minister and calling for his life and calling for his death, I should say, So he went to Kane College in 1993, and he made that controversial speech condemning the Jews. And brothers and sisters, they can go listen to it. I guess it's somewhere recorded on YouTube or something. And he called the Jews everything but the child of God. And but he said he did it because he wanted to defend the minister. But at that time, the minister had made an alliance with the head of the NAACP. This is before the Million Man March. And Dr. Ben Chavis was the head of the NAACP at the time. Infume was a congressman out of Maryland. And you had all the Christian ministers, and they had made alliance and embraced the minister. When Khalid did that, they all fell away. And they were telling the minister to condemn Khalid, and the minister wouldn't do it. He said, I know why he's doing it, but he sat Minister Khalid down for the language that he told us that Khalid was using. He would call the Jews hook nose, bagel eating, Johnny come lately Jews, and he was talking about killing them, and he was really going off. So during that period, and he was still at that time the minister of Mosque number 7 in New York City. And I mean, we would hold meetings. I mean, at night. I mean, we stayed there to 3, sometimes 2 and 3 in the morning. Would hold back meetings, and he was in there trying to defend himself. He felt that the laborers at the time was against him, and he was, he didn't like that. So he made that speech. So he was out. He was, well. Let me not say he was out. The minister uh, said that he couldn't teach. He never made a decision on what class he was in, that if he was out or if he was in. So that was a very confusing period, a very uncertain period for many of us at that time, because we didn't know. The minister didn't put a particular on him what was his status, because you would have to have a status. Are you in or are you out? So he would go to cities in Ohio, and the brothers, the FOI, would protect him, escort him. Then he would go to another city, and the FOI wouldn't show up. I remember when he spoke at New York University, when there was no decision on what his status was from the minister. And I went there because I wanted to hear, because I didn't know what was going on. I wanted to hear firsthand. So he was there. He was in the back, and the brothers said, "Brother Haqq is here." He said, "Tell our Brother Haqq to come back." He said, "Brother Haqq," he said, "maybe you shouldn't be here." I said, "Why?" He said, "Brother, I don't know what my situation is, and you might get in trouble." I said, "Brother Minister Khalid," I said, "when Wallace Muhammad came in, I've tried to walk with him. And when I saw and heard that he was attacking our leader, Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and changing what I thought was his teachings, I left. And I found the minister, and I got with him. But I said to myself, I will never, ever in my life, someone tells me something, I want to hear from that person. Just as someone says to me, "Oh yeah, Joshua, he got that podcast," but I want to go talk to him and find out what's the platform, what's his purpose. I'm not gonna. I said never again I would do that, and I told Dr. Khalid that.
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you all for watching. Someone's calling our brother, Minister Haqq, and
Oh yes,
right
sir.
back with us. Yes, sir. We right here with you.
All right. It muted for a minute. I don't know what's going on, but I told him that I wanted to hear from him, and I said I will sit here and listen to you because I want to hear from you, not from what people are telling me. Because the minister didn't make any particular mention of him other than the fact that he couldn't teach. So, uh, so after that, I think he was going through a lot of changes, and I believe the reason why the minister at this point, as I look back, didn't give him a certain status or wasn't definitive on his position, I believe he was trying to save him. And people don't know the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when Malcolm first left, the messenger told all the believers, said, "Leave Malcolm alone. He is my prophet. Allah has made me see that I have to deal with him." And they wouldn't call him a hypocrite at that point. And there were other ministers and other believers calling Malcolm a hypocrite, but the messenger didn't give a definitive position at that time. He wouldn't say anything. And the minister felt that they needed to come out and attack Malcolm. And so I believe the messenger was trying to save Malcolm. See, because you have to let a man live long enough to see their mistake. If you take the brother or sister's life, then what chance do they have, Brother Joshua, to make a change, to look back on their mistakes or their errors? So I believe that's what the minister was doing. He didn't give a certain definitive position on Khalid, but what it did, because he didn't do that, brothers didn't know how to deal with Khalid. Certain cities he would go in, they wouldn't let him in the mosque. Certain cities he would speak, at a venue or a college or university, the FOI would show up. Sometimes they didn't, you know, and he was very disturbed by that. And like I said, one day he showed up with Sister Phyllis Yvonne Stickney at Mosque number 7. I was standing out there, and Captain Dennis wouldn't let him in. And he said, "Why not?" He said, "Brother, you have to check with the minister." He said, "Brother, I've been trying to reach the minister." And I think at that time, he was at a crossroads in his life. And he was trying to figure out. Then I got a call one day from 2 sisters. I think Khalid was trying to figure out what position and where he wanted to go in, 93 and going into close to the 2000. And that's when he became a head of the Black Panther Party. I didn't understand that. But anyway, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. First of all, thank you very much, Mr. I just want to make sure that we stay right here. People saying all praise to Allah, you're teaching. Beautiful. I want to go now during this time period. Is this before he was shot or after he was shot?
This was the one I'm talking about now. Well, 93 is before he was shot. He was shot in 94.
94. Okay, yes, sir.
Yeah. So in 93, that's when he made the speech at Kane College where the minister asked him to step down, to step aside for a while. I don't know what language at the time the minister was using for Dr. Khalid's position and status, but of course he was shot in 94 in Riverside, California. And that disturbed him because I don't know if he knew where that was coming from. But, he had told me, after that he believed that there was some forces in the nation that may have been instrumental in that. I didn't believe that. And he mentioned Dr. Alim, and he mentioned my brother-in-law, Brother Arif. He said they didn't like me, Brother Haqq. I said I know both of them. I said I don't know what their feelings are. I said I don't believe they had anything to do with the assassination attempt on you. He said okay. We didn't really dwell on it too much, but he was very angry, and he was trying to figure out what he was going to do after that. Now we into the 90s, 97, 98, and there's still no definitive. I use that word definitive. There's no certain defined position as far as as far as the nation is concerned. Was he out? Was he in? Was he on suspension? Was he given? There was no time period. And like I said, I truly believe that the minister was trying to save them, because if he would have given a definitive position, people may have tried to hurt him. They might have put that tag on him. He's an enemy. And, you got some of our brothers and sisters that may not understand and may, do something that is not in accord with the teachings of Islam, not in accord with how we deal with our brothers and sisters that we may have differences with. But anyway, he joined the Black Panther Party. But before that, he used to speak at this place called the Slave Theater. I think during those like 98, well, I would say like 90s. This was, let me be careful because I want to make sure, because I know he was at the Million Man March. So this would be around about 93, 94, 95, around those periods. He would speak at the Slave Theater, and one particular night we all went to go to see him. My wife, my brother-in-law, my sisters, and he said the title of his subject that night was Minister Khalid at the Crossroads, and he was asking the public, what should I do? Should I go back to the nation, or should I go out on my own? And I thought it was not wise for him to do that, because the Slave Theater was an open forum. People would come in. It was like a big open meeting. People would come in. You would have winos come in. You would have people from the street, homeless people. You would have people that hated the Nation of Islam. You had people that loved the Nation of Islam. You had people that were black nationalists, Sunni Muslims, and you would have people that was Christians and black nationalists. And you had people that came in there just to get something to eat. They they didn't care who was in there. And I think that was unwise of him to open up a question like that. What do you think I should do? Because those people didn't know what was going on. And but I think he was at the crossroad. He was trying to figure out what he wanted to do. And I got a call one day from two sisters. They were Haitian sisters. They was from Haiti. They were MGT. They were young, brilliant. They were scholars. And they met me. They wanted to meet with me. I don't know why they picked me, but we met at Junior's restaurant. And they said that they had been approached by Dr. Khalid. He wanted to have them set up his speaking schedule. They wanted, because Brother Khalid brought a lot of young brothers and sisters to the nation in New York City during that period. I mean, they were from different kinds of communities. He had that kind of magnetism. And they said that he wanted them to help him with his scheduling, the reproduction of his speeches and tapes and videos. They wanted him to outline all of his itineraries of how he would present himself. I think he was trying to find a way to still do the teachings without being oppositional or being appeared that he was some breakaway Muslim. And I said, why you asked me? She said, Brother Haqq, because we feel that you are fair. I said, you listening to me? He said, yeah. Because I didn't know them that well, but they felt comfortable. And they were asking me, what should they do? She said, because they were getting a lot of pressure. People had told the officials at the time that they were meeting with Khalid and that they were getting a lot of pressure and they felt uncomfortable. And I told them, I said, sisters, you do what's in your heart. You do what you feel is right. And I said, you might even want to ask the minister, Minister Farrakhan. And but they said they were a little afraid and they didn't want to be sandwiched between the officials at that time and Dr. Khalid. So they eventually bowed out. I don't think they ever came back. I have not seen them since. They might still be around. But anyway, he joined the Black Panther Party. But before that, of course, he had the Million Youth March.
Yes, sir.
The whole Harlem was ready. He was trying to find his way. And he was trying to do everything. And I was a little dismayed by the fact that he, not so much in the tradition of the Panther Party, but the fact that he was picking up a gun. I thought that was not in the best way to present our people, because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad never told us to pick up arms. Never. Because he knew that we have to put our belief in Allah, not a carnal weapon. That's our defense. Allah and Allah alone, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. Yes. So, it was a roller coaster in New York with him. Some days were up, some days were down. I mean, he would just do things right off the cuff. I mean, he would walk the streets by himself sometimes without security. He would jump out of the car we would be in and just shake Wino's hand and, hug people that some of the believers didn't even want to be around. He would meet with a lot of the groups that they didn't particularly like us, So I think I think his love for Black people, when I was in New York, when I was in Brooklyn, I asked him to come to the meeting in our meetings in Brooklyn. And he came that night, and we had a house full of people. And he was still the minister of Mosque Number 7, but he would go wherever you ask him. And he was teaching, and to show you his love for Black people, he said that this is the first time I heard him mention this here. He jumped. We had a piano there, baby grand piano was in there. It was in a old uh, music hall, and they had a grand piano. He jumped on top of the piano. I mean, the place was he shook up everybody. He jumped on the piano. He said, "Some of you think," because they were trying to accuse the minister of changing the messenger's teachings, and they were trying to say that we were teaching Sunni Islam. He said, "Let me tell you something." He said, "I don't have no love for them Arabs." He jumped on the piano. He said, "Listen," he said, "I've been to Mecca 5 times." He said, "I believe the white man is the devil more now than I did before I went to Mecca." He said, "Even after I went there, I believe it more now than I did before." He said when he was in Mecca, he said that after Hajj, he said some of the Muslims from the African countries, from Nigeria or from Ghana or from Senegal, that would make pilgrimage, they would, after Hajj was over, they would sit around the Kaaba, they would sit around Jeddah, they would sit around some of the monuments of Islam in Mecca, in Arabia, and there's a tradition. If you stay there, you get extra blessings. You do your dua, and you get the extra blessings. And he said some of the Arab children, some of them, he said they were teenagers, and they would throw rocks at the older black women from Nigeria or the older black men from Ghana or Senegal, and they would use words, gully, gully. And he said that was like saying nigger, nigger, and they would laugh at them and throw rocks. He said he grabbed 2 young Arab kids. He said he grabbed them by the collar. He said, don't you ever disrespect my mother. He said, I will pull your heart out of your chest and drink your blood. But that was his love for black people. And I think he was at the crossroads, and I can't judge him and what he was trying to figure out in his life, but, this is why we all have to judge a man or woman based on fairness, truth, and justice, and let Allah be the final judge, And like I said, I believe the reason why the minister did not put a tag on him, so to speak, a definition, because he was trying to save him. Because once you take something off, then people feel that you're wholesale. You can be taken out. Yes. That was his protection. Yeah. But eventually, he was sick, I guess. And in 2001, he passed. But I believe he contributed more than he to the rebuilding of the Nation of Islam, because he had touched all of us. Your dad, I'm sure he has stories about him, and was one thing about him, he would go boldly where no one would else go. No one.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. And thank you everyone for watching. We have so many more topics to address with our brother Minister Haqq. Can't wait to upload this to YouTube. If you all would like to continue to support, please continue to like, share, subscribe, and we are grateful for every anonymous Cash App. We have a quick 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast, and we're coming right back to our brother Minister Haqq. We thank Allah for you, sir, for this great information. 1 second.
Yes, sir.
One second. Thank you, Naima, for your comments, and thank you everyone who's watching. People are showing love. Hold on, here we go. Everybody who watches People Podcast know that we got a new sponsorship commercial, and there's downloads. There we go. All right, thank you all very much. Here we go. With the People's Podcast, Street Premier Media Production. And we have a marathon today, as I was telling our brother Minister Haqq. So we want everyone to stay tuned. For today, we have interviews back to back to back to back. And there we go. Here we go. There's a commercial. There's a sponsorship. Blah, 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 blah. And we are live with the People's Podcast. Street Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. Please reach out if you need any of that. Sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country. Sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me children's book and coloring book. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ. My two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. And we are live with the People's Podcast. And I want to let everyone know before, if you are just tuning in, we gave a special salute to all the mothers. Shout out to my sisters Mimi and Naima for always being in the comments and the great mothers that they are. Shout out to my mothers, Sharifa Muhammad and Grandma Marion Ball and Evelyn Johnson. Shout out to all of the mothers. Today is about celebrating the mothers and learning this great history. All right, sir, I wanted to ask you because we got to come to speaking about the hereafter and how to eat to live. But I wanted to ask you about the time period of Benjamin Chavis as well as Captain Abdulaziz. What was that time period like in New York?
After the Million Man March, and then they had the minister had what is called the World's Day of Atonement.
Yes, sir.
There was word that was going around that that Minister Ben would be the minister of Mosque number 7. Khalid didn't particularly like him. Khalid would say really, really disingenuous things about him, really harsh things, which I didn't think was intelligent. But he was angry, and sometimes you can't let your anger come in view of your intelligence and your understanding of life and people. And Minister Khalid was at the Million Man March, but he didn't get a chance to speak. I think that bothered him, because he saw all those people, many of them who were haters and oppositional people against the minister for many years prior to that. And they were on the rostrum, and he felt that he was left out. And I think out of his pain, he began to attack many of those people that around him because he didn't believe they were genuinely for the minister. And he would attack Minister Ben. When Minister Ben came to New York, at the time, I wasn't going out that much during that period. And Brother Eric Torre Muhammad, you know him, right?
Yes, sir.
He called me up. This was 1998. He said, I'm at the airport. I said, yeah? He said, yeah. He said, guess who I'm with? I said, who you with? He said, I'm with Minister Ben. He's going to be the minister. Because, there was little inklings of it going around. And he said, I said, okay. He said, he asked me, who can I get to assist me? Who can I trust? He said, Brother Haqq, I told him you. He said, he wants to meet with you. He wants to meet with you. I know this is the first time I'm saying this here publicly. He said, he wants to meet with you. And Minister Ben came to New York, and Eric set up a meeting, and I met with Minister Ben. Minister Ben said, I've heard, Brother Haqq, that you are one of the most seasoned, kind, committed brothers. He said, I used to see you before with Brother Eric. He said, I'd like you to assist me, to be my assistant here in New York City. I said, brother, I thank you. Thank you for even
It's mute. Reminiscence is mute. It's on mute. Thank you, everyone who's watching. We get some great history. All right. We're just waiting for the phone to be finished muting. Unmute it. Turn. Okay, it's no longer muted. There we go. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we good to go. So you at the meeting?
All right. Let me just do something. Yes. Yeah, he's at the meeting. He asked me, Minister Ben asked me to be his assistant minister. He said
Okay, okay.
he was told of my history in the nation and my position and, things about me. And he wanted someone that he felt that he could trust. And Brother Eric told him. And I guess he asked some other people, I don't know. But I told him in all honesty, I said, brother,
Thank you, everyone who's watching, and thank you for your patience. We're coming right back to our brother. He's at the table with Minister Benjamin Chavis, and he's learning. Okay, there we go. Boom.
Could someone be calling me?
Yes, sir. That's what it is. That's what it is. But it's okay. We right here with you. We right here with you.
It's okay. Yeah. Well, he asked me, and I thanked him for considering me. But I said no at this time, brother. Thank you, but no, thank you. He said, "Well, will you think about it?" I said, "I'll think about it." So, I mean, this is 78, 79. I mean, 98, 99. And he's calling me every now and then, Brother Haqq, have you reconsidered? And when I would go out to listen to him, he would say, Brother Haqq is here. Would you meet with me after? And he was just constantly at me. But Brother Joshua, my mind wasn't there for that at the time. And I wanted to be honest with him, and I wanted to be, genuine. And I didn't want to do something that I really wasn't comfortable with. It wouldn't help him at all. Of course, he would call me up and tell me, things that was happening to him. And now when formerly Norman X. Butler came, Brother Aziz, Muhammad Aziz, I really wasn't attending that much at that time. So I didn't, I was doing some other things. And so I really wasn't involved to see his relationship, only what certain brothers told me. But I really can't speak on Muhammad Aziz's position and what he was doing there with Brother Minister Ben. Yeah. So that was really a short period of time, over maybe about a year. That was them. So my connection was not that much because I really didn't want to. I wanted really to stay away because he really was calling me constantly, almost begging me to be his assistant. He said, "I need a man like you around me, brother." He said, "Because you know what's going on." So, but I really wasn't comfortable at that time. I wanted to be honest with him, Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. And thank you all very much. And shout out our YouTube family, Brother Kente, Brother Musa, Sister Hope, Sister Auntie, and everyone else who's showing love on all of the platforms. I wanted to ask you about your favorite memory with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, sir.
Well, I have two particular ones that I always think about. Is that when he first came to New York City, after the assassination of Malcolm, he had to literally fight to gain some kind of stability and respect, because Malcolm was loved and on the outside, and there was certain believers there that still loved him, which was understandable. He taught them, but he had to, and Captain Yusuf Shah, because of Malcolm's no longer being there, that some of the power fell on Captain Shah. So he was, he kind of ruled things back then, so to speak, because he was the authority for a period. So the minister had to come in and literally fight to gain that kind of respect. And he set up a ministry class outside. And that's when he got Brother Minister Akbar, who was at the time Minister Larry 4X. And they set up a ministry class, and they began to recruit different brothers to come into the ministry class. So, but that's not what I remember that period. But anyway, he had what is called a young adult class. I mentioned this before.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He told us that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told him to set up a young adult class because we were teenagers. So when you have a organization, when you have a society, you have to have what is called a rite of passage system by which young people develop. Because if you lose more than you're retaining, then something is wrong. So the messenger wanted to make sure that as we were growing as young people, as preteens or adolescents, that we didn't get lost by the street, because the street has a very profound magnetic pull on young people. You know, you young people, you sitting in the mall, some of them things might be boring to you. You know, you want to go out, you want to go out and have fun, you want to entertain yourself, you want to go to the movies and stuff like that. We wasn't allowed to do that. So, but we had to be able to develop. You have to have a bridge from adolescence to adulthood. So the messenger told him to set up a young adult class. And this class was for young brothers and sisters from 12 years old to 21. That was the age group, because at 12, you're an adolescent, you're a preteen. So in that class, it was held every Saturday from about 3 to 6. And the minister would come in without delay, without missing the class. And this is before he had all these speaking engagements in college and university. He was just, the messenger told him, let's teach in the temple at that time. Now, he must have been maybe about 27 or 28 years old. I was like maybe 16, you know. So it was me, my brother-in-laws, two of my brother-in-laws, my wife. There was brothers and sisters in this class. And he would teach. He told us that the messenger told him to give us things that he didn't teach the regular believers. Now, people might say, well, what are you trying to get that exclusive? You think you get that exclusive? I'm just telling you what he told us. He said, when I'm teaching you, he said, I don't even teach the believers this. This is exclusively for y'all, because this is for y'all so you can be able to transcend and become the next leaders in the nation. So every subject you would think about, he would talk to us about marriage. He would talk to about relationships. He would talk about how God had chose young people in the Bible. You see David, you seen Solomon, all of these were young people, Joshua, who led the Battle of Jericho.
That's right.
Yes. He even talked about us developing puberty and how we would have sexual feelings and how to manage them. All kinds of stuff. He would talk about marriage. He would talk about how God had that the messenger told him to teach us things that we would be able to use in the hereafter. We would just ask him questions. He would have a question and answer period for us, and we would, we would say, I remember there was a group of, we used to go out into the streets and teach. He would say, brothers, don't be afraid to do that, because I came from the world of the 5%. And he said, no, you go out and teach them brothers, because some of the officials didn't like us doing that. They wanted to protect us. He would say, no, go out and talk to them, So that class, I think, was really, Brother Joshua, responsible for me making that transition from Wallace Muhammad into the rebuilding or the helping to rebuild the nation in 1975, after 1975 into 1977, 78. And that I wish that we had tapes of those classes, because I don't remember everything they taught, but it was always inspirational. It was always different. We never wanted to leave. And he would give all of us instructions on how we should present ourselves to the public. And, a lot of us were still in public school. I remember going to public school. I was in high school and I met with the dean. I told the dean, I said, I'm dropping out. He said, dropping out. We didn't have a University of Islam at the time. This is before 1970. You see, in New York City, the University of Islam was only on Saturdays and Sundays. But in 1970, it officially opened up as a full-time school, But I was in high school, and me and my brother-in-law, we met with the dean. We told the dean, we're dropping out of school. He said, why? It was a woman. She said, why? She said, because this world is going to be destroyed and the white man civilization. And well, that was kind of crazy, right? But and then we dropped out. We did. We stopped going. We selling Muhammad Speaks full time. But of course, the messenger started putting articles in the paper that young people needed to be skilled in all the sciences and mathematics. And he said, I want educated believers to go and pursue education. And that's when we went back. But those classes were very, very important. The young adult class.
Praise be to Allah. Yes,
sir. And the second thing that sticks out in my mind is when I met him in the minister in 1978. It was it might have been April. I know it was warm, and we met that morning at the Brewburger restaurant. And him and my brother-in-law, we sat there for almost 12 hours, and we were trying to figure out what we were going to do in terms of the Nation of Islam. And we asked him every question imaginable.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Why did the nation fall? Did the Honorable Elijah Muhammad still physically alive? How did Wallace come in and deceive everybody? You was the national spokesman. How did you let that? I mean, and his honest question, and I was so humbled to know, and he didn't try to hide it. He said, brother, I fell. He said, I stopped believing in my leader. And he said that when the lights go out, he said, everybody's in darkness. And he said, if the lights went out in this restaurant right now, we all stumble and grumble and trying to find our way out. He said, but then your eyes will adjust to the light, to the darkness, to the darkness. And he said, that's what happened. And he was honest, and that stood out in my mind. And the other thing attached to that, later on, when I was a captain at the time in New York City under Brother Minister Kareem, and
yes,
we were driving the minister to the airport, and he kept calling me minister. And I was the captain. I said, I'm the captain. He said, he didn't even respond to that. He said, pull over. We get some water, get something. He said, brother minister, you want to get out and get us some water and stuff? I said, brother, I'm the captain. And he told me, he said, brother, I want you to be in the ministry. He said, that's been your calling since a young boy. He was able to see sometimes what we don't see. And he said, I want you to assist Brother Kareem. And he said, I want to one day give you a big city. He said, but I want you to be under Brother Kareem. And he said, let me tell you something. He said, you're going to be the buffer between the minister and the people. And he said, the lieutenant and the assistant minister is always the one that's in between the people. He said, they want to get at the minister. He said, they want to get at the captain, but they can't get, because you're the buffer. He said, you're going to take a lot of flack because of that. And lo and behold, it's true. It's true. The assistant minister is always the one that's a hands-on person. The first lieutenant is the hands-on person. He's the one that's working back and forth with the believers and the officials,
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, those things stand out to me. I hold on to those. Yes, sir.
Beautiful. And I just want to read some of the comments people was bearing witness. Brother Kente says, Allah Akbar, may Allah be pleased with our brother Khalid, with the mighty soldiers. Naima says, I'm really learning so much beautiful history being shared today. Thank you all for watching. Brother Ronald said, all praises to Allah. Sister Patricia says, the nation history is everything. Thank you, Sister Patricia. The birth of a nation, teach, and people just bearing witness. Yes, sir. Praise
Yes,
be
sir.
to Allah.
All
I wanted
praises
to
to
ask,
Allah.
yes, sir. I wanted to ask you about the your thoughts on the hereafter.
You know, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us about the hereafter. You know, in his later years, he was demystifying a lot of the stuff. I don't want to use the word stuff, a lot of the teachings that he was giving us. He was trying to give it a more rational and reality perspective on it. You know, the word hereafter what? You know, the word here, first of all, of course, we are here now, and then tomorrow we'll be after today.
Yes,
But the
sir.
word here is an adverb which talks about a position, or mostly a position that will take place. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was really, really trying to get us to understand what the hereafter is, because in most religions, people talk about the hereafter. They're thinking about a place somewhere up in the sky, or
Yes, sir.
some foreign land, or some distant place. But the hereafter is after you were in one state of mind, and then you were in one state. Then after that, you're in another state of mind. So
Yes,
it
sir.
doesn't necessarily have to be a place, um, and this place and position is not beyond reality. Um, you know, I just wanted to say see, in Spanish, in all other languages except English, when you talk about a particular thing, the thing describes in that language what that thing does. So if you say here in Spanish, you say ahora, you say vente aquí ahora. All right, here, sit down here. You're talking about right there. And the Holy Quran talks about, if you notice, it talks about in the ninth chapter, I should say, in the 72nd verse, it talks about the believers who receive heaven, but it describes a physical heaven. It describes, and it promised the believer, you will dwell in a place where gardens and rivers flow. So that's actually a reality. That's a living where rivers flow, and you will have raised couches.
That's right.
So the image of the hereafter is a reality that you make, not in a place somewhere that you're going to be taken. One time, I was told the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was approached by one of the believers, and he said, "Dear Holy Apostle, where is the hereafter?" And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, "You're standing on it." Praise be to Allah. He said, "You're standing on the hereafter." Letting him know the earth by which we come up out of is our hereafter. All we do is go to the earth and create that hereafter right here, right now. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I just want to read something. He said, the hereafter is an image of a spiritual state of life that is a continuation of the life that you are living now. This is why sometimes you hear the believers say, if a believer passes, they say, "May Allah bless you with Jannah."
Yes, sir.
Or paradise. That's not somewhere up in the sky. See, because even in that it says that you will receive pearls, you would receive rubies, and some wine. And brother might say, "I'm down with that, brother." No, but these are physical, tangible things, and that's the real reality of it. That's the spiritual understanding of the hereafter. And the reason why I want to say that is because if we get lost and that the hereafter is some distant place in the sky or some distant reality that's going to happen thousands of years or 100 years or a year from now when you build your hereafter right here, right now. I was once in the street, but after that I became a follower of the Elijah Muhammad. So I'm in the hereafter. I'm here after I was a Negro. I'm here after I was a criminal. I'm here after I believe in a mystery God, you know. So that is the hereafter. Hereafter is really a state of mind. And if you want to create the physical hereafter, you have to work for that. You know, in the Muhammad Speak newspaper for many years, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad would have the artists, the brother that drew the pictures, brother Eugene Majid. He would draw pictures. You know, pictures 1,000 words.
Yes, sir.
Images are great impressions. So he would have Eugene Majid draw a picture of a man, a black man sitting in a field where there was crops being grown. The field is unkept. The field, and he's in there. The black man is in this particular part of the picture. It's a cartoon. There's no crops growing. There's no harvest. The black man is laying up on a tractor, sleep, but on the next frame of the picture, he shows another picture of a black man, vibrant, productive, crops are growing, letting you know that there's an image of what the hereafter is, you know, so you won't get caught up. There was another, I remember another picture, black man, he was on his knees praying, oh God, please give me some food, I'm hungry, and then dropped out of the sky a bag of feed and a shovel. See, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad understood the science of image and that he had to keep that in front of us, because if he didn't, we would crawl right back onto the white man's plantation. We'll crawl right back into believing in some mystery God or some hereafter that we would think that's going to happen after we die. And this is why the question was asked of him by Master W.D. Farad, asked him, will you sit home and wait for that mystery God to bring you food, clothing, and shelter? The messenger said, emphatically, hell no. Because he wanted to instill within him the idea that life here is a reality and we make our hereafter. And that's why he told the brother when he asked him, where is the hereafter? He told him, you're standing on it. You know, and even in the Bible, they talked about milk and honey. You know,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Get milk and honey, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes. So all of these things we can't forget. And I just wanted to, you know, dwell on that for a second or so to talk about that, because I don't want us believing that we can't create our hereafter right here, right now. We don't have to wait till we die. We don't have, you know, some brothers believe, I don't know, that we're going to be put on a ship and take to a distant place. I don't know about that. But I know that if we don't, you know, I live in a community. I make my hereafter right here. We don't let nobody come on our block, you know, trying to cause any confusion and anything like that. Yes. Yeah. So I just wanted to touch on that a minute, bro.
Praise be to Allah. Excellent teaching by Minister Haqq. And thank you everyone for showing love. And Brother Mandine says he's watching and listening in Chicago. Thank you very much, Brother Mandine. And we want to make sure that
I know Brother Mandine. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And we'll make sure everyone tunes into Brother Mandine's show and continues to show love. Everyone who's watching all around the world, please let us know what city and state you're watching. And if you have any guest suggestions, by all means, put them in the comments. Now, Brother Minister, what are you doing to help unwind and stay balanced in today? Like when you get a chance to unwind, are you watching TV, listen to music? You know, what you doing?
Yeah, well, brother, I love to watch biographies. I love biography because there's so much history. I hated history when I was a child, but you know, Elijah Muhammad said, he said that history is best qualified and most attractive in all our studies because it develops the springs and motives of human actions and displays the consequences of circumstances that has a powerful effect on the destiny of the human being. I
Yes,
love
sir.
biographies. I love history. I love to read history books. I love to read narratives. I read all your father's books. I love that history, you know, and so I love that. And I like to watch, the old time movies because there's a lot of wisdom in there, And they made movies back then with a plot, with an idea,
Yes, sir.
So I do that. I listen to all kind of music. I love, all kind of music, and I swim. I swim, brother.
Okay. Okay.
You know, I, I grew up. See, I live 2 blocks from the Atlantic Ocean. I grew up as a young boy swimming in the ocean, in Atlantic Ocean. I used to swim out into the middle. I was like 9, 10 years old. I would swim out, Brother Joshua, to the middle. They had a bell out there. It was made out of steel. You could sit on it. It defined the deep water. So when you go beyond a certain point, you're in deep water.
Yes, sir.
So I would swim out there, me and my friends. And I know black people, we don't swim that much. We don't understand that we're in nothing but water anyway.
That's right.
I used to sit on the bell, and the bell would sway back and forth because we could hear it at night, especially when it was dark and still. You could hear the bell. That was where the deep water started. So I swim. I go to the local Y. I do 25 laps. And I believe that's what keeps me healthy. And this is why I want to talk a little bit about how to eat to live, where we always hear that God came to give us. Jesus said, "I come to give you life and give it to you abundance." But we have to preserve our life. I'm very concerned with the health of our brothers and sisters today, not only with our brothers and sisters in general that's in the community, but the Muslims too. Because we have to take care of ourselves. When I came in the nation, I think I went to 2 funerals in the first 10 years in the nation. I didn't think Muslims died. I mean, we didn't have funerals. I never heard brothers and sisters saying, I got rheumatism, I got diabetes, or I got kidney failure. I didn't even hear those kind of things. And the 2 funerals I went to, is both of them were accidents. Brothers had died because of an accident, but we didn't go to funerals. I could remember we used to have bear witness night, and there were 2 brothers that got up and talked about that they had been diagnosed with diabetes. And and they said they wrote the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And he said the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote them back. One brother was Brother Willie Adas. The messenger wrote them back and gave them a dietary plan. And he said when they went back to their doctor for a checkup, the doctors told them after they were on this plan that the diabetes was wiped out of their system. We could. I don't like what's happening to us, particularly our young Black men and our men in general, and brothers and sisters. We shouldn't be suffering from diabetes. We have a dietary plan called How to Eat to Live.
Yes, sir.
That's so profound. Brother Joshua, I'm in my 70s. I went to the store recently. The local Key Food, and the young man at the cash register. Every Wednesday they have a sale for seniors. You get 10% off. So I went up there. I said, I'd like to get my 10% off. He said, "Excuse me, sir." Young white boy. He said, "Excuse me, sir, but the 10% off is for seniors." I said, "I'm a senior." He said, "What?" He said, "You're right." Yeah. So, we shouldn't be suffering from diabetes. Brother Latif, Xavier, Brother Latif. I think he was your junior FOI instructor.
Yes, sir. I'm familiar with him. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I knew his mother. His mother came in and during the time with Malcolm, and Brother Xavier went to the University of Islam, and his brother Kenneth in New York. Sir. And he told me he's blind. He's totally blind now. Yes, and sir. Because he suffered from diabetes and his kidneys shouldn't happen. Brother Rasul, Brother Minister Ishmael's brother,
Yes,
blind.
sir.
One of the messenger's daughters, Sister, not Lottie, Sister Ethel Sharif, she went blind. You know, so we must take care of ourselves, and we must do the basics. And I've had 5 different health seminars for Black men in particular in my neighborhood. I'm on a personal journey, Brother Joshua, a personal quest to try to save our lives and preserve our bodies, because this is what God has given us, and we have to, make sure we take care of ourselves. And I remember when I was growing up in the nation, brothers ate 1 meal a day. Some of them ate every other day. I knew brothers that ate every 3 days. And, I even at one point, I became a vegetarian, and I went into the Golden Gloves. I used to box in the Golden Gloves in New York City.
Okay, okay,
All
okay.
right, all right, yeah, yes. I was inspired by Muhammad Ali, and I went into the Golden Gloves, and I was eating as a vegetarian, and I was knocking cats out, man. Yes, but we have to preserve our life because it's sacred, and we have to, last time I went to, I mean, it's not the last time, but I went to my doctor, a young Russian woman. I wanted her to do an extensive examination from head to toe, everything. Most of the time we go to the doctor, they put the stethoscope to our chest, they ask us a couple of questions, you feel dizzy, and they said, I'll see you next time. But I wanted her to do an extensive. And after everything was over, she took blood, she took urine, she did all kind of tests. And she said, tell me something, sir. She said, are you trying to play with me? I said, what do you mean? She said, you trying to be funny? I said, why? She said, you have a perfect. She said, your biology is so perfect. Yeah, she said. I said, why you said? She said, because most people come to me. She said, by the time they come to me, their bodies are wrecked. She said, all I can do is offer them medication. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, if we just did the basics, Brother Joshua, no pork, drink as much water as you can, because water is the source of all life. We are nothing but water. The universe is nothing but H2O, methane gas. Those are liquid water.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
75% of your body is water.
That's right.
3/4 of the Earth's surface is covered with water.
That's right.
The Earth has rivers and streams. We have veins and vessels in our body. And we, yes, some of the Earth has grass and mountains. We have hair, and parts of our body sticks out. We're nothing but a planet that can think and reason. So we have to take care of our bodies, and we should eat a lot of fruit. We should eat vegetables and garlic and onions. That cleans our blood. I used to watch Popeye the Sailor Man.
Yes, sir.
And there was a segment episode where Pluto hid all the spinach from Popeye. He confiscated all the spinach in the neighborhood, and he started beating Popeye down. Bang! And Popeye was looking for spinach, couldn't find it, and Pluto hit him with a uppercut and knocked him into a fruit and vegetable stand, and he sniffed some garlic. And the garlic gave him the same power that the spinach gave him. Now, I'm looking at it as a little boy. I'm trying to figure out garlic, but then I came to realize that garlic cleanses the blood. We have to preserve our bodies. We have what is called a test called the albumin test. It tests the kidneys, it tests the protein, it tests your liver, and if your albumin is at a certain level, you're a healthy person. We suffer from heart attack, kidney disease, diabetes, stroke, liver. I'm looking at some brothers that are overweight. We shouldn't be overweight. I weigh about, I think now 160. I've been weighing that weight. I've been that weight maybe ever since about 1968, 69. But so because I've been blessed, and I look at young people. I used to be a director of a community center, 3 of them to be exact. And I see young people, Brother Joshua, that were children that were 7 and 8 years old. I see them now. They look like old men. They look at me and they say, they call me Brother Ron. They said, Brother Ron, why you stay so young? He said, I look like your father, man. Yeah. And so we have to preserve that which Allah has blessed us with. And because I'm blessed and I realize it now, I'm on that journey. I'm on that quest to share what Allah has blessed me to have. And it's really just the basic how to eat to live. And you don't have to get crazy and well, I don't want to use the word crazy, but you don't have to get so extreme. Just do the basics, and sometimes we can eat some of the things that we like to eat. I like to eat cupcakes and oatmeal cookies, bean pies, carrot cakes. I love the chocolate donuts. Those are my weakness. If you don't tell nobody now, because someone said you can get Brother Haqq to do anything. Just giving him a slice of bean pie. Yeah. So, but I love those things. I'm trying to, be a little modest with those, but those are the things that I like. But, just do the basics, and Allah will bless us. Yes.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. People are showing you love. I just want to say, for a minister, everything was going good until I started thinking about what I was eating for dinner. So my sister Naima was in here watching. I need some bean soup, Naima. Mimi, make some bean soup. I need some pasta salad. I got to be more healthy. For minister's teaching, I got to stop eating out so much. Everybody keeps saying, stop eating out so much, Brother Josh. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
For the believers, Sister Patricia says, yes, sir. Thank you, Brother Ronald, for you. Brother Ronald was talking about eggs. Just how to eat to live, the way of surviving. Sister Patricia, only in the classroom with God. Nothing like a good chocolate cupcake from Brother Mandine. Yes, sir. And I just want to thank you, sir, because the whole interview, but primarily the last part, because, drinking some water right here. I'm working how you have donuts for me, a sweet tea. So I'm trying to work on that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to work on, being healthy. Yes, sir.
Yes,
so
sir.
I appreciate that. But I'm honored, and I look forward to meeting you, Minister, in person, inshallah. I really want to get a picture and get an interview in person. I have a camera now where I can travel, and I really want to do an in-person interview and just get a chance to break with you and learn from you. On behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast, we thank Allah for you and your sacrifices and the many sacrifices of your family. Shout out to your children, grandchildren, everybody, siblings, and all of them. May Allah bless you, sir, and continue to bless you. I can't wait to put this on YouTube. Our YouTube family shows nothing but love and shows nothing but support for the People's Podcast. Thank you again for every anonymous Cash App. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Wa alaikum salam. Take care.
Yes, sir. Shout out to all the mothers out there.
All right.